I always say this is like the Wild West, and Waves is one of those companies that's always pushing the limit. Every time I get something from them, it's like, wow, you guys, and then it just seems to be getting, it's wow after wow after wow. So, and you know, coming from, can't say I'm old school because hey, I'm still young, but coming from a different, you know, from tape, it's your ear sort of developed something, you know, and I can see why people are, oh, analog is better, digital. You know, it's all a matter of preference, what you grew up with. I grew up with tape, on tape, and listening to the beautiful sound of tape. So I can see how people would, in the beginning of plugins, oh, this just doesn't sound like tape, this doesn't sound like, but what I felt like Waves they've done is they've always improved to sort of get a more of a musical sounding plugin, where the difference between other companies that they sound good, but they're not musical sounding. And it took me years to understand what that really meant. So I hope that whoever's listening to this or watching this, they can understand the difference between something that sounds musical. And that's what Waves is doing right now. They're actually making plugins that sound more musical.
What's your favorites?
I mean, the classic L1, we're talking about the L1, the L2, that's 10 years from now, that's probably, they're gonna try to mimic that, you know? The L3, that to me is a great plugin for, you know, just the high end, just to sweep that a little bit, just to get that a little more, not necessarily level, but more like, say, punch to some things, you know. It's funny because I'll do the L2 for some things, the L3 for others, and the L1. So each one of them has a different color almost. And you know, again, it goes back to whatever color you're looking for. One of my favorite plugins, especially on vocals, is the R compressor, the R comp. And that to me seems like, we talked about just slapping it on and making sure that it sounds good. That's the one compressor that you can literally put on any vocal and it will sound good. And I've probably done that. If there's plugins out there that have sort of changed the industry, like I would have to say that the L2 is by far one of those that truly has changed the way plugins are built. It works on the people do it on the across the stereo bus, and it's great. But you can also use it on individual instruments and capture the click of it, you know. And you can use it as an effect as well. You can bring it all the way down and get some sort of like crunchiness to a certain effect. And what I've done in the past is I'll copy the track, put an LA2, bring it all the way down, bring the threshold, and on the copy track, and then just put it right underneath, put a little time adjuster so that it doesn't cancel out, and all of a sudden you got this depth, this other harmonic so, you know, I've used that a lot, and believe me, you can try it with a couple of different instruments and it seems like it always works. And of course, a classic, you know, sound across the bus. For the first time I popped the 550A, and I wasn't really expecting anything, and I played with the low end, and immediately, like with plugins, I'm like, yeah, it sounds good. No, that was like, I was blown away. Like, I can't believe I add, and it's still musical. It's not adding color to it. It's adding what I think what I wanted to add. I mean, it's some next level stuff, and you know, and it's again the Wild West, man. We're just, you know. It's exciting times for companies like Waves and all these companies. And the music industry, period, is exciting times. I know it's tough times on the other end, but at the same time, exciting for people that sort of think outside the box in a way. And having a plugin like an API EQ, just, man, if you have no idea what that does to someone like me. It opens up a whole new world, because now I got a whole other color that I haven't heard before in the plugin world. And I got to tell you, the V compressor too. I mean, those are some of the best things I've heard. You know, the V compressor, the first time I popped it on the vocal, I was just blown away. doing RCAs and some Fairchilds in some cases, and I'm thinking, wow, they're really like improving on from EQs to compressors. I can't say enough good stuff about Waves.